Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of fantasy romance and romantic fantasy. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Oh, I forgot to put stevia in. How did I forget that? This will never do. Please stand by. Much better. Today is Monday, October 25th, closing in on Halloween and All Saints' Day. I been thinking a lot about taking time off from things. The idea of fasting, of refilling the well, unplugging, and how these are all facets of each other. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about a conversation I had with my friend this weekend. She has started doing intermittent fasting. So I know a lot of people feel like intermittent fasting is simply a different word for dieting and diet culture, and so if that sort of thing is upsetting for you or triggering, yeah, skip. You may be excused. Laura Darnell thinks it's very funny that I said you may be excused, but yes, this material will not be on the final, and it's an optional class today. So if you'd rather, you could just go to study hall, listen to another podcast. But I've done a lot of different fasting in my life, for health reasons, always for health reasons. Um, so I was surprised the first time I saw someone say, here's your daily notice, one of those internet speak things. I'm so tired of internet speak things. Have you guys? I know I'm sensitive to that stuff, but it's like I don't know who needs to hear this. Let that sink in. Um, Here's your daily notice that um, I realize that we sort of pick up on this lingo from each other, but it's also, like sort of hooky language. I don't care for it. Anyway, uh, but the first time I saw somebody say, here is your notice that intermittent fasting is just another way that diet culture gets us to be upset about our bodies or something like that. And I was like, huh, because I've always done fasting as a health thing. And I've done some major fasting in the past, and it was always really good, very cleansing. And I think I've mentioned from time to time on here that I occasionally will. For a while, I was really in the habit of doing a 24-hour fast once a week, and I might try to get back into that because it really helps with as you if you start to develop insulin resistance in particular, which is in my genetic bloodline. Uh, And my friend that I was talking to said that she was pre diabetic. And so she had started doing an 18-6 fast or 16-8, however, where you fast for 16 hours and eat during 8, which is one of the easiest ways people to do it. If you are someone who's naturally inclined to skip breakfast, then if you just eat at lunch and then eat dinner, then you're pretty much doing it, right? Um, and I recall that, especially as a younger woman in college and in grad school, that I tended to skip meals very often, and the health people get after you for it. And they're like, "Oh, it's not good to skip meals. You shouldn't skip meals, and that's how you gain weight, and all this sort of thing." And but I actually did better when I skipped meals, I think. And it was only after I got together with my now husband, lo these 30 years, almost 31 now, that I really began eating very regular meals, and I began to gain weight at that point. Um, Even though that's not supposed to be the important part, it was a marked difference. And I think some of us, our bodies just do better, occasionally skipping meals and sort of clearing out the system. So I'm trying to get back to that a little bit. I don't know if I'll try an absolute intermittent fast. I really like to have my latte in the morning, um, but I was reading up on just different kinds of intermittent fasting, and one of them is if you like skip a meal if you're not hungry, just don't. don't make yourself eat if you're not hungry. And I think I'm going to do that because I often am that way anyway, where I'll just be like, I'll only eat because everybody else is like, hey, let's have lunch. And it's like, eh. So, but I was thinking about that and thinking about being unplugged because I know I've talked quite a bit about trying to do Sundays as an unplugged day where I don't turn on the computer at all. However, I still have my smartphone, which I can't really not use because, well, my mother would be very unhappy with me, um, among other things. But I was also finding that, like, maybe I don't need to do in the same way. I mean, it was funny how this parallel was following, that maybe I don't need to do a full 24 hours of being unplugged because since I don't look at email or social media or other things until, or, like spam on this thing, I don't look on that till like later in the day on Monday. It ends up being like sometimes an almost 48-hour accumulation of stuff. So yesterday I stayed off of the computer until like 3 in the afternoon. And then I got on and checked email and checked in on some social media and did a few things. And that seemed to work really well. Um, so, the unplugged, instead of unplugging, maybe it's like intermittent fasting, just to reset the brain. Um, it's my new technique. So I did have a very relaxing weekend. Yesterday morning, I spent a really long time um, reading. Uh, like most of the morning, I sat in my armchair. It was kind of a blustery morning, and I read until almost 11. And I was awake by 7. I slept in until 7, and then today I slept in until 7:15, which is why it's so much brighter here. I like didn't start this until 9. Uh, but boy, that felt like good restorative sleep. And I think some of that comes from that brain unplugging, just sort of letting yourself ratchet down. So I am reading Beck McMaster's A Promise of Darkness, I think. Um, Dark Court Rising. The reason I say I think is because I tend to forget titles. Okay, I'm going to check this and see because I know I messaged my friend. What are we? Oh, Promise of Darkness, Dark Court Rising, #1. I got it. Um, Boy, do I like this book, you guys. This is one that is scratching me in all the right places. The first book in a really long time that's been just exactly my catnip. Um, the premise is awesome. I am totally jealous that I didn't think of this idea. I wish I'd written this book. Now I want to write a version of this premise. So sorry, Beck, I'm gonna have to like steal the trope in some way. I promise not to rip off your plot. I wouldn't do that. But I don't know if Beck and I have ever interacted directly, but love this book. Yeah, the whole scenario is awesome. It is, and I hate doing this. I hate doing this, but it is reminiscent of A Court of Thorns and Roses in all the things that I really liked the most, without any of the things that I didn't like. Um, I feel like her world building makes a lot more sense. Um, it's not as angsty and over the top as Moss's series, but and I'm using Akotar as a shorthand for like that trilogy. Um, I just really love the way these characters behave. I feel like they're really solid characterizations, and it's just perfectly yummy. And I feel like I can't tell you much more about it. It's an enemies to lovers, and it's awesome. I saw it because SFF Romcast uh, which I'll link to. It's a new podcast, and they've been featuring books this month. They featured The Orchid Throne, which was really sweet of them, and they mentioned this book, and I was like, huh, This sounds like my catnip, and reader, it is. So that was great. It's been a long time since I've just spent like an entire Sunday morning in my robe, hanging out in my armchair, reading something that was utterly delicious. It was awesome. And then I turned over my closet. This is a BFD, you guys. Um, this is a habit that I've had all my life, taught to me by aforementioned mother. Uh, it was funny to me to discover that not everybody does this, but um, every spring and every fall, I turn over my wardrobe. I So yesterday, for example, what I did was I took all of the summer things and I put them away in this big plastic bin that I have that I store in the closet. And I got out all of the fall and winter things. And yes, it's a little late. I don't know who's going by overhead here. Uh, but we've had a very warm fall here in Santa Fe. And also, I've been procrastinating. And one of the reasons I've been procrastinating is because I have not done this for, I want to say 2 years, but it's a year and a half. Um, because I do the reverse in the spring, put away all the winter things, get out the spring and summer clothes. Sometimes I do it in stages, especially in spring, because if we go somewhere warmer in springtime, I'll go get out a few things and start gradually bringing stuff in. And then all the whites come out after Memorial Day. But and my mom still, even though she's in Tucson, she does a version of this where she puts her whites away in the fall and then gets them out again for Memorial after Memorial Day. It's a good ritual. There are some people who get annoyed being like, I don't see why you can't wear white in the wintertime. It's like, you can wear winter white. That's all. No, do what you like. But I like the ritual of it. And it's very interesting to me. And I was thinking about this a lot doing this yesterday because in fall of 2020, a year ago, I did not do this um, because it was pandemic year. I had done the spring rollout, but that was back when I don't remember when I did it, but it was when I still thought, I don't know, I thought that life was going to go back to normal. I thought that we were going to be done with lockdown and, that travel would resume and all of that sort of thing. And by fall of 2020, um, I mean, I think fall of 2020 was kind of sad. Don't you guys think? I mean, it was COVID was surging, no vaccine in sight yet. We were all worried to death about the election, um, and I ended up not going anywhere for Thanksgiving. We stayed here, and I cooked Thanksgiving dinner for the two of us. It was all right, but it was kind of sad. Well, I never got out my winter clothes last year. And it's interesting to me that I never had the impetus. I think partly because I wasn't going anywhere. And part of what drove it this time is going out places like I couldn't wear my blatantly summery things because I am that much of a slave to fashion. Um, but all of this stuff was like locked away, right? It's back in this bin and stuff and there were a couple things I'd missed. But one of the great things about this process is getting out these clothes and seeing things that you forgot you had. I had all this stuff I totally forgot I had. Um, and it was kind of awesome. That's the plus side. I also went through everything hanging on my rack, and I really did. When I do this, I do a big purge too. The advice givers say that you should anything you haven't worn in a year, you should get rid of, which does not include like formal wear and party dresses. But even then, I bend the rule quite a bit. But there are some things that, especially with that, it feels like like a 2 year window in winter clothes. There were a lot of things that I was just like, oh, this feels really out of style now. This just feels like nothing I will wear again. And even though I remembered it fondly, I was like, let it go, let it go. It's these um, it was the sad thing was going through all my party dresses and formal gowns, and some of those I'd totally forgotten that I had. I was like, wow, I don't even remember where I got this dress, um, and I haven't worn in so long. I think we need to have like a big formal dress function so that we can all dress up and wear our party clothes. When we went for Christmas last year to Tucson, we didn't go out anywhere because COVID, and we ended up just staying in the whole time. So even then, I didn't, like I was able to get by with that sort of interseasonal stuff. So it was funny to do this, to do the full changeover, um, find all of this stuff that I didn't remember I had, um, and put all the summer things away. And I think I feel like these rituals are important. The observance of the seasons, the observance of holidays and the passage of time. And that was one of the weird ripple effects of the pandemic, was that we felt, um, like time was suspended. All of those things just kind of got um, blurred, like the whole year feels like a blur. So it's maybe a cautionary tale that, like, heaven forfend that we should have to go through this again. But if we do, keeping up those rituals, um, anyway, I think may be important. So, so there we are. Um, and now my closet looks really clean and orderly, which makes me happy. The other news, exciting news, is I'm going to be putting Dark Wizard, Bright Familiar, and Gray Magic all into audiobook. Woo! I started the process yesterday on Dark Wizard. I'm going to start shopping for narrators, and I'm doing it through Find Away Voices. The main reason I chose Find Away Voices for this, basically, you can go through Find Away Voices or ACX unless you're contracting directly with the narrator. Like Grace Draven contracts directly with her audiobook narrators because she has ones that she picks out and likes to use. The same way she does cover artists. She's very persnickety that way, aren't you, Grace? She's listening. Um, but I didn't know who I wanted for this. And ACX, you have to like go through all of their narrators and listen and do it that way. Whereas Find a Way, you fill out a form, which was actually, and you guys know I hate forms, right? This was not a bad form. It was really easy to fill out. You could select from choices, and Find a Way said that in 7 days they will send me a curated list of potential narrators, and I can listen to them and see if any of them work for my books. And there was a place to note, was this book part of a series, and did I need a narrator for the entire series? And I said yes. So I'd like to get the same narrator for all three books. And um, and if I don't like the ones that Find a Way sends me, I can do another batch. So I'm excited, you guys. And this effort is brought to you by my darling mother, who is fronting the money for me to do this because it's just such a freaking heavy investment up front. I figure it's going to cost in the neighborhood of $10,000 to do all three books, but I anticipate earning that money back, and then I can pay her back for it. And so she is basically she's my angel investor, my mother, the angel. Um, so everybody can say a thank you to her today. And on that note, I'm going to go get to work. Well, I guess I should say I did hear back from Agent Sarah on the Sekrit Project, and the news is good. She said the pages were magic. She wants to go out on sub later this week. So, dun, dun, dun. So that's a better outcome than last time. And we just need to discuss a couple of she made some inline edits. I need to go through those. And then she was asking for something else. I don't really understand what she wants. So we may have to discuss. But the novella is also coming along well. I'm at like 8,000 words on that. And I've finally got my feel for that story. Got a lot done on Friday. I'm probably going to end up cutting some of the beginning and rearranging, but that's what happens when you're writing your way into the story like that. So, yeah, feels like things are going really well here, getting in the flow. So, on that note, I will remind you all that First Cup of Coffee is part of the Frolic Media Podcast Network, and you will find more podcasts that you love at frolic.media/podcasts. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.